name's Rochelle Williams, and today I'm going to talk about how social trait representations change with familiarity. So from our own experience, we know that when we meet someone for the first time, we can quickly weigh up a person's character and decide whether we trust them, like them, or find them attractive. Research shows that we create a mental map of the person using this information, extracted from their face. However, there's minimal research on how these initial maps change as we get to know them. So our research investigated this using 4 social traits. So we looked at attractiveness, dominance, trustworthiness, and likability. For our study, participants were presented with face images of 8 people from a show called The Apprentice UK, and they rated these faces based on these 4 traits. They then watched the show over about 2 weeks and then re-rated these same faces. We first investigated whether mean ratings for each trait changed across sessions, so we wanted to know whether people would become more positive overall after getting to know the identities. We then used representational similarity analysis, or RSA, to see if representations for each trait changed with familiarity. So for each participant and each trait, we correlated the pre- and post-familiarity RDMs. We also compared representations for each trait between participants to see if there's any agreement, and if this agreement changed with familiarity. So pre-familiarity RDMs were correlated with the average of everyone else's, and the same was done for post-familiarity RDMs. Finally, we explored how the structure of trait space changed with familiarity. Are some traits associated with each other, and does this change with familiarity? So for the first analysis, results showed that both attractiveness and likability ratings didn't change, but average dominance and trustworthiness ratings increased. So participants found the faces more trustworthy and more dominant after familiarity. We expected this result for attractiveness because we didn't expect attractiveness levels to change, but we expected an increase in liking, as well as the others. For the second analysis, we found that people only really changed their minds, again, on who they found dominant and trustworthy, but people still liked who they initially liked and found the same people attractive as they did at first. Again, this was expected for attractiveness, but we expected people to change their minds about who they liked and didn't like. Thirdly, we were really interested in whether people would agree with each other on who they thought was likable, dominant, and trustworthy, and whether this agreement changed with familiarity. And we expected everyone to agree more after familiarity, because they had access to the same social information. But results showed that people only agreed a lot more on who they found trustworthy. So at first, the participants didn't agree at all on who they found trustworthy, but after familiarization, they agreed a lot more. So participants didn't agree any more or less on who they found dominant or likable. This didn't change, which was also unexpected. But essentially, the bottom line is we agree with others a lot more on who we trust after getting to know the same people. Our final analysis looked at the trait representations themselves to see if the structure of these traits would change. The only relationship that changed was with likability and trustworthiness, which was high both before and after familiarization. This association was high, but it was significantly more associated post-familiarization. So additional analyses explored the directionality of this. So we correlated the RDMs in a crisscross manner and found that participants' individual post-familiarity RDMs for trustworthiness correlated most with the average pre-familiarity likability RDM. So in other words, it could be interpreted that we go on to trust those that we liked at first and potentially for the same reasons, though other explanations are plausible. So in sum, our analysis has allowed us to explore the way our representations or mental maps of people change as we get to know them, and also how similarly we all as perceivers represent people. We also learn about how trait representations may be linked to each other and how other trait judgments may influence each other, all in about 2 weeks of parasocial familiarization.